Alright folks, this video is going to be about my experience with the Ricmotech Load Cell modification to my G25 pedals. I have them down here at my feet, right? I haven't done anything with them yet, but what I wanted to do is take some laps on a course that I'm really not too familiar with and see how I do before the load cell. Then we're going to go through the steps and what I'm going to do to install the load cell into my brake pedal here in the middle. And then we'll come back here with same track conditions, same everything, and see if it helps. Okay. So I'm going to run about 5 laps here and see what I can get out of it here. I ran some laps earlier today just because I've never raced at this track before at all. So I wanted to at least get some practice in and just kind of get used to the track a little bit before starting this. So let's see what we can do. Track temp is 82 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment. I went with late afternoon just to get a little cooler. Oh, and I'm using the Ford Mustang V8 Supercar. Oop, there's a lockup. And that's just, yeah, part of what happens with these spring pedals, this G27. I've been struggling at this turn a bit. That was pretty good, though, what I just did there, so... Let's see how it goes. Try and get 5 good laps in or something like that. Get an average. And then go from there. Track's a little slick. I think that when I was in a session before, track was about 70 something. Now it's in the 80s, so it's going to be a little slick. I gotta learn to keep it off of the grass. That was part of my problem before as well. Yeah, and that kind of pushing wide on some of these turns. Another lock up there. Coming a little hot. So this will be the first time lap. Oh, look at that sun going down. That's I just noticed it coming in from my left there. That's pretty nice. Whoa. That's about what I was doing. Actually, that's quite a bit slower. 2 seconds slower than what I did before. But that would account for the track difference, or track temp difference, that is. Oh, that was much smoother. That felt pretty good. was 1 second back. Oops.
1 minute 21.834.
I have the driving line on because, you know, I was trying to get used to it, and it's helped, especially here. But I'll get to the point where I can turn it off, just not yet.
Minute 21.457.
Whoa. So just kind of keep an eye on my braking foot there with the foot cam. Oop, didn't mean to downshift there. You can see how much travel I'm getting in there when I'm coming into some of these braking zones. With this Ricmotech mod, there's going to be hardly any movement on my foot. And I'm kind of worried that socks aren't going to get it anymore for driving. Mainly on road courses. You know, mainly do oval racing. Whoops. But I do love this supercar.
1 minute 22.65.
So yeah, just watch in my braking zones. Oop. See, that's what was happening before. Oh well. We got 4 laps. Alright, so we'll see what the 4-lap average is here. Oops, let me get out of here. Alright, so let me yeah, and I just went with a generic paint. I'm in the middle of painting the car at the moment, so so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this and do some calculation here, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so what I've been able to figure out is with the 4-lap times, let me show them here real quick. So those 4 laps add up to a minute 22.214. Alright, so a little inconsistent, but again, still kind of getting used to the track. But I'm within, you know, what is that, half a second? 0.6 second, yeah, 0.6 of a second. That 0.6 of a second. Holy smokes! So anyway, we got a baseline now. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna head down to my garage, and we're gonna take the pedals, and we're gonna take them apart, get the load cell put in, and do some other things, and then yeah, bring them back up and see what happens. All right, so I'm out here in the garage. I got my pedals here. These, and I think I may have said they're G27s in the previous video, or the previous part of the video, but these are actually the G25s. These are my original G25s. One of the ways I can tell is, try to get it set up here. Actually, let's do this. Okay. So you'll notice the spacers on all of these are the same, all 3 pedals, gas, brake, clutch. I have here pedal from a G27, and you'll notice the brake pedal has a thicker spacer. Okay, so this is my original G25 pedal set, so that's what I'm going to be modding today. I do have, you know, pieces, parts from a G27, and I was considering, you know, doing just this and then swap the pedal, but and I may still use the spacer. But what I'm going to do, there's some tips that are recommended after or to do during this installation. One of those tips is, you know, once you put in the Ricmotech Load Cell kit, which comes with its own spring here, one of the tips that many recommend that have done this mod and put out videos is take the old brake spring, put it in the clutch pedal, take the clutch pedal spring and put it in the gas pedal. So it gives you a stiffer feel all around. This is a pretty light spring here on the gas, right? The brake is probably the stiffest, and then the clutch is the next one, but the accelerator is very light. So by swapping these all around, it gives you a tighter feel all around. And with the load cell being in here, this is of course going to be real stiff. It's only going to move a little bit to get full pressure, kind of like a car brake pedal does. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this all apart, and we'll get into the guts of this. And if when I get to certain points in the teardown, I'll start the video up again and show you different things. I just have this piece of wood on as a base plate for mine, so when it's on the rug and I got it up against the wall, it's all settled down and everything. I just like it better. So I'm going to get started on that, and we'll come back in a moment. All right, so I got that base plate off that I have, and now it's down to these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then underneath this 11, 12 screws to take the plate off, or take this bottom piece off. For now, I'm going to leave these 4 screws on each pedal, because this is what actually holds the pedal base like this to this plastic base. Okay, so that's what those 4 screws. So I'm gonna leave them on initially. So I take those screws off. I'll end up taking all 3 of these face plates off of the pedals themselves, and then everything will come off. So I'll be back in just a moment for that. All right, so I got all the screws out, kind of laying right here. Okay, and if you've seen, you know, do a search on YouTube or whatever, you can see plenty of videos where they go through the steps to take it apart. But just, you know, I wanted to kind of reiterate to everyone that's seen those to be careful of the cables and the wires here, right? You just can't pop this thing off and yank it. So you got this wire here that's going to each of the pedals, going to the pots, and you got this little catch holder or screw that holds the cable in. So I'm going to just take that out real quick. Put that off to the side, and then that way we can just set this off to the side and just have the pedals here. So this is since you got the cover off and everything, this is a good time to, you know, get in here and clean things out. One of the other tricks or tips that the Ricmotech video installation video gives has to do with the pot for the brake pedal. With this kit, you don't need it anymore, so this becomes a spare for these others, so that you can replace, you know, the gas or clutch whenever they wear out, and they do wear out. It's just a fact. These have actually been replaced a couple times already in the probably almost 10 years that I've been using this pedal set. So it's about time I got upgraded on the brake. So what I'm going to do now is remove these pedals from this platform, because again, we're going to be swapping around springs, so I am going to be taking these off and everything. But you can't get into, you know, this into the side here very well in some of these. Well, maybe I could. Let me see here. I might be able to. This is coming out though, because we've got some serious work to do on the brake pedal. So let me get that done and I'll come right back. Okay, so I've got the 4 screws from underneath here for this section here. So again, you just got to be real careful. You know, it comes off very easily, but you do have this set of wires that is connected to this pot. So at this point though, what I'm going to do, since we really have to do some work on this brake, is I'm going to pull these off. First, remove the screw from the ground connector. All right. Set that off to the side. And then I'm just going to take a pair of small needle nose and just kind of pull each one of these off one by one. There's a black one, a white one, and in the case of the brake pedal, or I should say the white is for the brake pedal, and of course the red. So all 3 pedals have a black and a red connection. The center connection is the different color, and in the case of the brake pedal, it's the white one, right? So I'm going to set that off to the side, and now we have our brake pedal. So the first thing the instructions say from Ricmotech, they say to remove this screw from the side here, holding the top piece in. Okay, so that's one side, and oh, that just took a little bit, but yeah, it came undone. And I just got to hold it in place because it is spring loaded. And then I'm just going to take some of the pressure off, get that out. And there we go. Right now, got to save that. So I'm going to set that off to the side. I've got a rag here for the dust. And the pet hair that's been collected in there over the years. All right, so for us, we got to take, let me back this up a little bit. Just take this off. And this is the brake spring. This is all that's we've been using for the last, or I've been using for the last, 10 or 12 years. Yeah, so, and we're going to reuse this. It's going to go in the clutch pedal. One thing I noticed too, and I've kind of noticed this every time I've taken these pedals apart to replace the pots or just to clean out the insides in general, is each one was labeled from the get-go, right? So this one has a small B in it, right? The gas pedal has an A for accelerator. The clutch pedal has a C for clutch. So each pedal was always labeled as to where it came from. That way you knew what spring was inside, right? So we've got this apart, so we can set that to the side. Now the instructions talk about drilling a hole 1 inch up from the bottom in order to feed the load cell cable through. And actually, I'll go ahead and open this up because we are at that point. Brake load cell conversion for Logitech G25, G27, G29, and G920. So here we go. Got some zip ties to help keep our cabling nice. We'll set those off to the side. This is the new spring. It has a rubber kind of bushing inside. Rubber hose piece is actually what it looks like, and they've cut some grooves in it on the bottom side. And what it is those grooves, there's let me see if we can get a good shot there, but there's 3 grooves in that, right? 3 slots, I should say. Those 3 slots line up with the 3 slots inside the brake cylinder housing here. So when we put those in, we just got to make sure that those kind of settle in how they're supposed to. And yeah, that's it. So that can be set off to the side. This is where we got to do some work, because when we set the actual load cell in, right, and all it looks like is a little button. It's got a piece of Velcro around the outside to help take up some of the space inside, right? We got to feed the cable through. Out the hole we're going to drill in the side of this right here on the seam. You see there's like a little plastic molding seam. We're going to drill it right there. The wire is going to be fed through that hole. This is going to sit down right to that point. Wire is going to come out exactly at the same spot. And this is the little board that everything is going to connect to, that we'll find a spot inside the pedal housing for it. Okay, but for now, I've got some drilling to do on this little thing. So again, pause the video and I'll get that all measured out and looked at, and then we'll start putting that thing in. Okay, so just reviewed the video real quick just to make sure I had my measurements correct and whatnot. So again, 1 inch up from the bottom, right? You make a little mark. So I have this spring-loaded punch tool, made a mark here right on the seam, 1 inch up. And now I've got my 3/16 inch drill bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and drill that hole and hope it goes okay. Whoa. Now that'll be all right. Pretty simple. Cool. 3/16 hole, 1 inch up, good to go. Now the next step is to feed the actual load cell itself through. I got to disconnect it from the Ricmotech board here, and luckily everything is labeled red, black, and white, or yellow they call it, right? So we can always put them back where they belong, which is good. So there, 3 wires out. Okay, so let me get these tie wraps off, or twist ties I should say, and we'll start feeding this thing through. Give you plenty of length on this cable, which is always nice. All right, so we just need to feed this up through the hole. Bring it closer to the camera here, and there we go, easy peasy. Okay, now according to the instructions, this goes this little button here goes face down. Okay, and they also have you just kind of bend that over in between. There's an opening here in the Velcro. Okay, so it makes it real easy to just bend that the wire in there to get it to fit in. Right, we want to make sure we line it up, and then as we push this down, we're just going to pull the wire out as well. So let me get this started, and then if all goes well, ooh, yeah, that's seated right on the bottom there. That thing is seated right on the bottom, and the little stress relief or wire guard here poked right through, nice and easy like it's supposed to. Now, that little button that you saw in the end, that was actually hitting the bottom of the pedal, right? Let me see if I can show you here real quick on this one. Well, sort of. So you see this little button here on this piece. It's a solid one, right? There's no hole in the middle. So that little button we saw is actually sitting on that, right? And then of course, you know, with this, you're going to have the spring, and that's going to be pushing on the load cell, and presumably that button and everything else sending a signal through this wire into the Ricmotech board and then into the game, right? So, but yeah, that went really smooth. That was pretty easy stuff to do. So let me get this back in here. Make sure I get it lined up right. Where is it at? There we go. That should do it, right? All right. Now we get to put this in. We're going to keep the wire part underneath, and then we'll run it through and secure it here in a moment. But this is a little bit harder to get in here and get lined up. Oh, almost forgot the ferrule, little brass piece here. Right, that's got to go in there. Got these the screws to come in, and we just got to work our way down. And compress it enough to get one of the screws in there. This is taking quite a bit of pressure to get it so I can get that screw lined up in there. And then let me just do the other side here. And I can do this. Let me do this. That might help a little bit. There we go. Amateur videographer here, folks. All right. There we go. So this is all going in good there. Back to the other side, get that tightened up. All right, so there's that. And then we just feed that underneath so it's not going to get caught up in any of the movement. Oh boy, wow. That's pretty nice. That is nice. That's going to feel good. All right, so got a tie wrap here for us to secure the wire up out of the way, so again it doesn't get caught up in places it shouldn't. Just a standard tie wrap here. Okay. Alright, and I've got some snips. I'll cut that piece off here in a little bit before we actually get it in. So here's the thing. So what I'm going to do now, while I've got this all apart, is I'm going to break down these other two pedals, right? And I'm going to do the spring swaps. Okay. This is the brake pedal spring, so it's going to go in the clutch. Clutch spring is going to go in the gas pedal. Okay. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to take care of that, and then we'll come back. All right, so real quick, got the clutch pedal apart, and it's got the black spring, right? So I'm going to swap it out for the brake spring. But before I did that, not too long ago, I went ahead and purchased some light grease. Okay. Over the years of cleaning these out and getting, pet hair out and all that, I pretty much wiped all the grease out of it that came with the pedals. So what I found, somebody online in the forums, I think on the iRacing forums, recommended this slick oleum as a good product to use in this application. So I bought the small tub, and so I'm going to take the opportunity to just kind of re-lubricate all these pedals and whatnot while I'm got it apart. But I wanted to mention this because I've used this in several other applications, not just around the house in general, for general stuff, squeaks and whatnot for doors and gates and things like that. But I initially had purchased it for the pedals, and here I have my first opportunity to use it. And it just comes in, like I said, a big tub, just some light grease, not much to it. But I'm going to go ahead and apply some of this grease to each of these cylinders. No need to do it on the Ricmotech because there's really not a whole lot of movement in this anymore, right? But with these spring pedals, you definitely want to have some lubrication here on the plastic, on the moving parts, a little bit inside, where the spring is going to be sitting and moving in and out and things like that. So just wanted to point that out while I had the opportunity. Be right back. All right, so another thing I've discovered in taking apart these pedals and comparing the G25 to what are the G27/G29 and up, I assume. I'm pretty sure these are G27s though, from the guy I bought them from. had told me they were G27. So, but along with this little, pad on the brake pedal, there are also 3 separate holes to drill into or to screw into, right? And what's neat about that is, which is different from the G25, is you could then take the brake pedal and instead of mounting it in the center like you have to here on the G25s, you could mount it offset to get it a little closer to the clutch, let's say, in this case, or move it to this side to get it a little closer to the gas pedal. So I thought that was a neat little feature. I hadn't noticed that before, but this is kind of my first time dealing with the G27 pieces that I have. So I thought that was a nice little feature that you can adjust. And all 3 pedals on the G27 have that. I have those other pedals, they're just not here. But yeah, all 3 pedals have that. So you have a little bit of adjustability of, maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, one way or the other from center to adjust your pedals and things like that. So maybe something I'll think about doing in the future. Now that I've got this, I can certainly swap this piece out into, the cylinder and all that kind of stuff for the load cell and keep all that, but to have the adjustability. But for now, since this is what I'm used to, I'm going to go with it. And maybe later on I'll play around with the spacing and stuff and see if it helps. Mainly with the heel toe action that you have to do on some road courses if you want to be fast. So again, something I discovered, so I want to point that out. But yeah, so I got the new spring, the brake spring into the clutch. Now the clutch spring is going to go into the gas pedal here next, and so I'll be back for that. All right, more FYI. So again, clutch spring here, and you remember how beefy the brake spring was, right? So this is the clutch spring. Look how thin the turns or the metal is on this gas pedal, this gas spring. That's just, yeah, holy smokes, there's just almost nothing to that. A little bit more beef to the clutch pedal for sure. So this is going to be so different. This is going to take some getting used to, but man, I think it's just going to be amazing once it's all once I am used to it, and the feel, I think, is just going to be so much better. So yeah, again, never really compared these before, but huge difference in the amount of tension that is on these springs. All right, so both pedal springs for the clutch and gas are swapped out. We're about to put the brake pedal back in, and it just kind of sits in its spot, nice and easy. We've got 4 screws to go into the bottom here. Pardon my blocking of the work, but right now this is just to get it started here. Let me get one more here just to kind of hold it in place before I turn it upside down. Alright. So, yeah, just pretty simple here. 4 screws to secure that pedal to the base here. Let's get this going. There we go. Okay. All right, so all 3 pedals back in place. We've still got the wiring from the load cell itself and securing our ground screw here. the side of the pedal. All right, let's get this done. That's going to take some doing tight quarters here. Let's get her in there. Wow, this is a little bit harder than I thought, folks. There we go. That's not going to get it. No, it's not. All right, you know what? I'm not going to waste your time. I'll be back in a moment. All right, got that small ground screw taken care of here. So the next thing is to connect up our board to the wiring that we have. So for this wiring that we took off earlier, in order to fish the wire through the hole that we drilled in the housing of the pedal here, just gotta get them all set up, right, to go back into the same spots they were in, push down on these 3 tabs, get them in there, and then let go, and it should be good. Now, just to make sure, I'm going to give a tug on each one, just to make sure they each have good contact, and they do. All right, so that's one part. So this is coming from the load cell. The chip in the circuitry here is going to do its job, and then it's going to send that information through these tabs, through these lugs, to the regular wiring. It's kind of with the ground wire, I can't bring it out too much, but to these wiring here, that sends it back to the computer and ultimately iRacing. And again, these are labeled as well. So we've got red, white. I'm trying to spin this around so you guys can see a little bit better. But yeah, so red, and we've got white, and finally the black one there. Right? So that's all good there. And since we don't have much space with this ground wire, you know, we've got to secure this board somewhere, okay, kind of out of the way. And the folks at Ricmotech, when they provide this board, it's got this sticky pad on it. You just peel this off, stick it to the thing, to the bottom, in this case the base of the pedal, or the pedal housing, and yeah, it'll work. It'll stay put. This doesn't really move a whole lot, obviously. So, and it's, you know, kind of right here next to where the pot, the normal potentiometer is at. So yeah, that's probably a good place for it right there. And then we just have to, you know, snug up our wiring, get everything cleaned up a little bit, out of the way, kind of and stuff, and then we'll put it back into the housing here. I'll put my base plate back on, my wood base plate, and then we'll head upstairs. But so yeah, let me get this all secured, get this all tidied up, and use some of these other tie wraps they provided to help clean up the wiring here, and we'll get back inside. And yeah, so that's the next step. Be right back. All right, so cover's back on. The wiring is all secured underneath. Got the little screw to hold the cable in the back here, the strain relief on the back side. Everything's good there. So the last thing is to put the pedals back on, right? So again, a little bit different pedal design here with the G25 as opposed to the G27. Couple more options with the G27. And again, I may I may move over to that and play around with the pedal spacing at some point. But right now I want to kind of keep everything the same so I can get a good comparison. But all in all, this was a very smooth install. Not real hard. I mean, I've taken these pedals apart many times over the years to either clean the inside, clean the pots, or just out and out replace the pots in the past. So taking this thing apart and put it back together is almost second nature to me. I've done it so many times. So that part was easy. It was just the addition of the Ricmotech Load Cell and the modification to the cylinder, the plastic housing for the brake pedal. That was the only thing different, and that wasn't difficult at all. As long as you have the right tools, right size drill bit, all that kind of stuff, and then it goes very smooth. So we got our pedal faces back on. So again, yeah, a little much stiffer than this thing that was in the gas pedal. Clutch is stiffer, and then of course, the brake pedal just does not. It moves just a little bit. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. So I'm going to put my base plate back on, and I'm going to head upstairs and get it connected up. And I've got some calibration to do. I've got the Leo Bodnar adapter for these pedals. So there's some calibration I have to do there. So I'm going to do that off camera. But when I come back, I'll be at my rig, ready to go, and have the in-game stuff. We'll go through some of the calibration in-game now with this stuff, and then see where that gets us, and then go run some laps, see what happens. We'll see you shortly. All right, so got the pedals installed. You can see they're down here, right? Gas, brake, and clutch over here. They definitely feel different. So I'll bring this over. All right, so as I was saying, everything's in. The pedals are down here, as you can see, right? Gas, clutch, and the brake. So what I need to do now is just, I've calibrated them using the Leo Bodnar tool. Now I've got to calibrate them in the game here. So we're going to do yeah, we may have to do a couple more times, but, oh, there we go. You always want the 0 to 1023. Now, with this is going to be different, right? And I've got to tell you, I'm on a wheeled chair, and I could not push hard enough on this brake pedal without sliding the chair. So I've had to hold on to the desk here and push to get 100%. Okay, so I don't know that I'll ever need to use that. And of course the clutch, perfect right there. All right, awesome. Now the other thing is this here. So if you look down here at the bottom, right, there'll be the little tool tip down here as I'm hovering over the force factor, and it says adjust to control your brake's response to pedal input. Suggested values are 1.6 to 2.0 for potentiometer and spring pedals, which is what I had, and 0 for linear pressure sensing pedals, or otherwise known as load cells. So I've got to take this to 0 now and leave it like that. Okay, so let's give it a shot. Temperature is 81 degrees, is about what it was before. Same conditions on the track. Oh boy, this is going to be something. All right. I'm kind of excited. I just want to make sure this is good here. Is this upright? Let me make sure. Check 1, 2. Oh, yeah, I just want to turn the gain up a little bit. There, okay, so you guys can hear me better. I think it was a little low earlier. I was watching the video. So, all right, here we go. Oh, wow, that gas pedal is amazing. Here we go, first brake. Oh, man. Oh, that was awesome. Oh, I think I downshifted too much there. Oh, easy, easy. Wow, man. Oh boy, I'm excited for the first timed lap, that's for sure. Now, I'm noticing as I'm working the pedals, my seat is moving back, so that's not a good thing. Wow, that gas pedal. Ooh, overdrove it. Ah! Okay. Wow. Oof. That is cool. All right, we gotta try that again though. This is gonna take some getting used to, but already, man, I'm kind of impressed. So, I'm gonna have to figure out something with this seat though. That's for sure. And to get smoother on my steering inputs too, I noticed a little herky-jerky with them. Yeah, I really got on the brakes there and took a bit for them to lock up, so that's good. And that's what I've heard is the best thing about, oh, jeez, the load cell, ew, is the ability to, oh man, maybe I shouldn't talk and drive at the same time, is the ability to modulate the pressure. It's so much, right off the bat, man, I noticed it, it's just so much more intuitive. It, yeah, because under spring pedals, that would have been a lockup easy. But you can see it was kind of there, and then I let off, and it kind of rolled again. And with the other pedals, man, I never would have done that. Never. So, yeah, I'm very excited about these already. Take it easy on the first lap out here. Let the tires get some heat in them. I keep forgetting too with this car, oops, it's right-hand drive. So I tend to not leave enough room on the left side of the car. And too much room on the right side. I should have went to second on that one. Nope. See, that was fourth. See, I keep hitting that curb and bottoming out the car. Oh, that felt so good. Wow, that felt good.
1 minute 21.236.
So already I think that's faster than what we did before. And you see I'm picking up time. As long as I don't mess it up. Like that. So yeah, I'm feeling this. I shifted too early on that one, I think. It's 3/4 of a second.
1 minute 20.479.
Oh, oh. Almost saved it. All right. A 120.479. I think my fastest in the last session was a 121 something. I should have copied them all down, but I didn't. Damn it. But I'm guaranteed that's a full second faster. And you saw all the laps I just ran after putting this in. All I did before coming on camera here was install the pedals, run the Leo Bodnar calibration tool. Jumped in here, started the camera. You saw me calibrate the pedals, and you saw my first laps with this brake. And wow. And the other thing too, oh, this is so cool. The other thing is the stiffer gas pedal, the stiffer spring in the gas pedal. It's keeping me from getting on the gas too hard too early, which in the past was making me real loose. I found it very hard to modulate that with that really light spring. And of course, you don't use the clutch all that much, but I noticed the difference there. But the gas pedal, holy cow, that's incredible. The difference in that by switching that spring and what it's done. And now, and then of course the brake, holy cow, that's just night and day. So all right, let me see, what do we got here? So I didn't get 4 laps in. I really want to get in 4 laps. So yeah, don't need to change anything there. That was just a baseline set. That's nothing fancy, nothing I downloaded or anything. Oops, keep wanting to grab the shifter. All right, I want to get in some 4 decent. Oops, yeah. Not like that. All right, let's try it again. Yeah, and the seat, I've got to come up with something for the seat now. Because I'm slowly, every time I hit the brake, I feel like I'm jumping back. And even with the gas pedal, you know, it's requiring a lot more pressure. And that's even pushing me back a little. Smells like I just take the wheels off of this thing. That'll keep it from moving. Ah! Oh, darn it. All right. Oops. So, hang on a sec here. Yeah. All right. So I'm totally impressed with this so far. It's night and day. The gas pedal is so much better now. The brake is incredible. I feel like I can control it, and I just need a little more practice with it. When I was in a session earlier for the supercars, the other guys were running, a minute 18. I saw somebody running, I think the top guy's running a minute 16, and I'm down here in the minute 20s and stuff like that. So, and that was a cooler track temp. So, a little more practice, and with this setup now, man, I'm thinking I'm going to be pretty good. Well, I should say better. I still need more practice with the car, but I love the car. It's a really cool machine. I love the way it sounds. I love the way it drives, especially now. So, but anyway, this long video from beginning to end. You guys saw it. What this entails, what it does, the difference in real world lap times. You saw them, right? A little more practice, I'll get the 4 laps in, and I guarantee the average will be much better than the what was it, minute? What is it? A minute 22. 214 is what we had as a 4 lap average. I bet I'm down to 120, high 120s, low 121s, just here real soon. And then of course more practice and stuff, just they start to get lower. It's incredible. So well worth the investment, well worth the money for that mod. And it's not cheap, I'll admit that, but definitely worth it. And I've heard many people say that, so that's why I went ahead and did it. But anyway, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned some things about the G25 pedals and the Ricmotech Load Cell mod, and what it can do for you if you decide to go for it. But until next time, live well, laugh often, and love always. Take care.